Hi guys, I haven't posted an informative video in a very long time. This video is about my favorite Shaco cheeses. I hope you guys enjoy. Also, I have a couple ideas of what other informative videos I can make really easily. Here's the list. If you see something that you like, you can vote it on below. Or if you have a suggestion on something else I can do, please comment it below. So the first cheese I'm going to talk about is what I like to call the double buff cheese. What you want to do is you want to ask your bot lane for a special leash. You want to put your boxes in this way, or you can just put 3 boxes on bot side's buff and 1 box a little farther away. This is the message I like to type to my teammates so that they can leash it properly. And I also warn them that they may need a tank if they can't do enough damage to it. This way, you don't actually need to be there to get the buff. Your boxes just need to be able to last hit it. While your bot is leashing that buff, you want to run at around at the minute and 28-second mark to the enemy side. You want to take this path if it's the blue buff, or this path if it's the red buff. You want to ward this bush for blue and this for red, and when it's low enough, you want to smite it. Immediately after you smite, you're going to be level 2. You want to put a Q point in Q so that if they try doing anything to you, you can just Q out and you just got 2 buffs for free and your enemy has no buffs. This is easier with Flash, however, it's not optimal for the rest of the game, and it's still doable without Flash. Also, it's a lot easier to do this cheese when the enemy bot side buff is blue, because there's an additional way for you to get in and out. The blast cone, if they didn't hit it, can get you in, so you can smite a lot easier, and then you can Q out. The red side, there's no blast cone, and you have to take a longer path to get to the buff, and they might clear it faster before you can get there in time. Overall, I think this cheese is just situational. It's really risky, but if you're able to pull it off, it can set your enemy jungler very behind. The next cheese I'm going to talk to you about is what I like to call the topside buff cheese. What you want to do is you want to walk to the enemy topside buff. You need to run directly to the enemy buff right when you load into game to maximize the amount of boxes that you can put down on the buff. For both blue and red buff, you want to place 1 box over the wall to get vision on the camp and to see if enemies are there. At this point, if you see the enemy, it's too risky to continue and you just want to abort. Instead, you probably want to start your top side buff instead. What I like to do is to place a ward in the bush just to make sure that the enemy isn't waiting there. You want to ping your mid and top to be nearby just in case they do contest. At this point in time, you already committed so much time for this buff, and you probably put more than 1 box down. You should commit to this buff at this point. You want to keep putting your boxes in the pit. However, if you see the enemy, what you want to do is you want to put the boxes in the bushes so that he can't see it. And if you don't see the enemy at all, it's a really easy buff steal. However, if you do see the enemies, you want to spam ping your allies to come to help you take the buff. And I'd recommend you to smite it because most likely the enemy jungler is also roaming to you to smite it and try stealing it from you. Personally, I like to do this with enemy topside red buffs because it really does reduce the early game presence of the enemy jungler if you take the red buff, especially if they're pretty aggressive, like Yin Zhao or Graves. After you get the buff, you're going to be level 2. You want to quickly get Q and use it to get out if necessary. This is also very risky, but then the payoff is just, it's high risk, high reward. The next cheese I like to talk about is what I like to call the TP cheese. Not that you have TP, but the enemy has TP. After you get a successful gank, you want to check if the enemy has TP. If that's the case, you either want to set up the wave so that the enemy will feel like he's forced to TP to a minion, or you can just leave it if you don't really understand how to do that. You want to make sure that they have TP. If they do have TP, chances are they're going to TP to a minion to quickly get back to lane to not lose a CS that they're losing if they don't TP. So you want to stay there and wait for them to TP back. When they TP back, just go in again and get another kill. So I wouldn't recommend you to like hard push the lane during the first gank. I would like push it kind of slowly and then leave. Look at the enemy respawn time and then wait for the TP for 5 seconds. After those 5 seconds, if you do not see the TP, you should just leave. The next cheese I like to talk about is what I like to call the between the towers cheese. If you know that either an enemy laner, bot, or top has recently called, and they're super squishy, and you can probably kill them, you might have a chance of killing them before they even come back to their own tower. What you want to do is you want to ward in between the tier 1 turret and the tier 2 turret. This works a lot better if you have red buff. You want to wait until you see the enemy, and then you want to queue over the wall to try to just do as much damage as possible. Even if you don't kill them, it's still worth it, but most likely they won't expect it and you should be able to kill them. The only risk this has is if the enemy knows that you're doing this, or it just takes you a very long time to kill them so that the enemy jungler can come and kill you. But other than that, this will put your lane super ahead. The fifth cheese I'm going to talk about is what I like to call the dragon cheese, but this can work with Baron, or the same concept can be applied. You can easily solo dragon at level 6. Half the time you can kill it, the other half the time the enemy comes. And this is with you using the ult. When you're ulting and you're tanking trying to solo dragon, this leaves you very vulnerable. Also, your abilities don't really help. Your E does almost no damage and your box gets one shot by the dragon. However, this makes the box not very useful at killing the dragon. However, it's very good at defending the dragon if the enemy tries to come. What I like to do is I like to put the boxes around the dragon so that they do come, they'll be feared to death by multiple boxes that I put down. And I can just turn my ult and me onto them, and with all that damage, it might even kill them if they're not quick enough. Like this also works on Baron, where you can put boxes around the Baron pit, like in the inner rim of the Baron pit. So if they decide to flash or blast coming over, they're gonna be feared, and you're gonna have the upper hand even though you're tanking Baron. The next cheese I like to talk about is what I like to call the fishing wave AD carry bait. Basically, how you do this is you want to slow push either top lane or bot lane, and how you slow push is you just kill the casters and cannons if there are any, and let the wave slowly push. You want to stay near this wave, and you want to make sure that the enemy doesn't see you to increase the chances of coming. There might be a chance that the AD carry will come, and then you can just kill them. This works with other squishies, of course, but I feel like AD carries are most likely to fall for this because they need the gold. And the final cheese I'm going to talk about is what I call the Midlane Cheese. Basically, this one's really simple. You just ward mid lane. If you see the enemy, you want to just queue in, Yomus, do all that stuff, and kill them, one-shot them. This will take many people by surprise because they don't expect it, because they have no idea that you have vision on them. And most of the time, they're just going to be looking somewhere else on the map. So yeah, this can just be very unexpected and be very worth if you don't die. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to comment below for any video suggestions based on the list I showed at the beginning of the video. Again, thanks for watching. Psst, don't forget about the video on Thursday.